welcome back to my channel. I'm Brenda and I'm a mommy to my 2-year-old, and I'm also pregnant with baby number 2. I'm 9 months pregnant to be exact. I'm 36 weeks and I'm doing this video because I want to talk about my birth plan more like in detail. I don't like to call it plan because birth almost always does not go as planned and I learned that with my first labor and birth. Anyway, I am going to show you guys the bump real quick. So this is what the bump is looking like. Pretty high up, pretty pointy, and definitely it is a lot harder to sleep at night because I have to move around and it's just not comfy. But thankfully I actually haven't had any insomnia. I do sleep pretty good. It's only when I'm moving around to go pee and things like that where it gets uncomfy. I'm just again doing this video because I want to share my birth plan / birth preferences. But before I go ahead and do that, I do want to kind of share real quick that my husband's family actually threw us a surprised baby shower yesterday. So we received a couple gifts which I am super grateful for, and I already feel very blessed for baby girl because it's just, you know, things that we didn't plan because we were not planning a baby shower. So we are very grateful to have received these gifts for baby girl, and especially even more grateful because I didn't have to plan anything, and that's the very reason why I didn't want to throw a baby shower, because I'm really stressed out with things that have to do with party planning and things like that. So I am really happy that I didn't have to plan any of this, and you know, everything was just there. I just went in there, I had a good time, everything was just already organized. And I'm also very thankful because this is actually the second surprise baby shower that I got for baby girl. The first one was in September. My best friends actually surprised me, and I was like in total surprise for that one because just the way they pulled it off, I was like just in shock. This time around with my husband's family, the way they threw the baby shower, they just pretty much told us that, hey, we're gonna have like a taco get together type of day. So I was like, what's the reason? You know, so I'm the type of person to ask a bunch of questions. So I asked my husband like, oh, okay, what's the occasion? Like, are they celebrating a birthday, graduation, or what's going on? So he's like, no, they just said we're just gonna eat tacos. So I was like, I was a little suspicious because of that, and I felt like my husband was into it, but turns out he was just as surprised as me, because even though I was kind of expecting it because I thought he was in it, but he was not in it. So he was definitely surprised. Anyway, I am again really grateful, and before I go ahead and kind of share my birth preferences, I'm gonna actually open some of the gifts that I received, or that baby girl received, from the baby shower yesterday, and I'm gonna try to take off all the tags so I can go ahead and wash some of the clothes or the things that they gave us, like blankets and things like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I pretty much have all the gifts spread out here on my island. So yeah, we received a bunch of gifts, which again, super happy. And then these are some of the decorations we actually got from the baby shower that I thought were so cute, because the theme was like spooky vibes, you know, because it's October and baby girl's gonna be born next month in November. Well, that's if she doesn't come a little bit earlier. But yeah, so these are some of the decorations that I got, and I just thought they were so cute. So and then here are some of the other presents, which I'm gonna open in a bit. So this is the little banner that they had at the baby shower. Let's see if I can show the whole thing. So I loved the whole theme because it's like Halloween vibes or spooky vibes. It says a little boo is on the way. You probably can't see the whole thing, but I'm gonna go ahead and take out a lot of this stuff that we got already. We got some cute flowers. I think my mother-in-law, she put this together, and I think they're so cute. I'm gonna make sure, oh, I think there's no water, so I'm gonna make sure I put water on these. And these were so cute. There was like pins that my husband and I both wore, and you can see they have like the little ghost in right there, and with the mom ghost. I mean, this one's the dad ghost, and this is the mom ghost with the baby. Super cute. And then I had this on my belly. It's like a little belly ribbon band thing. The same thing as a pin, but I thought it was so cute as well. And then this was like right here on my belly yesterday. And they had a lot of food. I wish I was able to like record all the food that they had. They had tacos de canasta, they had jaiba, potato salad, they had aguas frescas. What else did they have? Fruit. I'm trying to remember what else. They have all these other... Oh, pozole. Yeah, pozole is the big one. That was so good. I'm like, I want some more. Huh?
I didn't eat any pozole.
And it was so bomb. It was really bomb. All right, so I'm gonna start opening this one first. So this one's 3 months, and I thought it was so cute. Look at it, super cute. But I need to go ahead and wash this one because this one's 3 months. So I'm gonna make sure I wash everything that's 0 to 3 months. And I think anything else that's maybe 3 to 6 months, I'll probably wash it too and then just put it away in a box.
Like that or more?
Like that's fine. And I love this one too, because it's all really fuzzy and warm. And this is 6 to 9, which is perfect. And we got sleepers. And I had already opened these gifts yesterday in front of my husband's family. But I'm just kind of just, you know, reviewing them. Making sure I put them in like... I'm going to eat a little bit of highball that we got from yesterday. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Because my mouth is watery. Oh, you can open the window now, Daddy, the door. So I actually got a lollipop that I got from the baby shower yesterday. These are some baby wipes that we got. All right, I am back. It's been 2 days after I opened the baby shower gifts that we got from our surprised baby shower that my husband's family threw for us, or, you know, for baby girl. And again, all the gifts were super cute and we appreciate each and every one of them. And big thanks to my mother-in-law and my husband's aunt that actually put everything together. Everything turned out so beautiful. I loved every detail, feeling super grateful and blessed too. Yeah, anyway, now going back to what this whole video is about, I am gonna go over my birth plan, aka my birth preferences, and I do have my laptop with me, so hopefully I don't go all over the place. I am gonna go ahead and start. So again, I named my birth plan birth preferences, and right at the top I have me listed as the mother, my full name first and last, and something very important that I put next to my name is that I am GBS positive. And I know the clinic has that information, the one I go to for my prenatal appointments, and I know they send out that information to the hospital, but just to be safe, I put it in here just so they make sure that as soon as I get to the hospital they can put the antibiotic on my IV. And I also listed my husband as the father, and I put his first and last name right at the top, right next to mine. Another thing that I put right on top was my pediatrician's name, or my baby's pediatrician's. I put her first and last name and also put her contact number there, so that way they have that when baby is born. So I actually got this birth plan template from a lady that I listened to her podcast, and I totally forgot what her name is. I believe it's Fierce Lizzie, and her podcast name is Unapologetically Unmedicated, I believe. I'm gonna put it down in the description below, so that way you can also have access to that birth plan template, because it was super great. It was so easy to use, straight to the point. This is actually part of that birth plan template. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of read what I put. Also, right under our information, I put, for any issues, concerns, changes, please discuss my options with me before proceeding. I prefer to be able to make informed decisions about my own care along with my husband. So that's just a little quick message, straight to the point, that anything that they want to do to me, to please ask me before they do it. Like, for example, cervical checks. Like, I want to make sure that they let me know, like, hey, is it okay for me to do a cervical check? Not just to tell me, we're gonna go ahead and do a cervical check. Like, that's not informed consent, right? Like, it's not, they're not really asking for consent, they're just doing it or telling you that they're going to do it. So that is really, really critical for me, and I'm gonna let them know too, verbally and also through my birth plan. All right, so now really going into my birth plan, the first thing I have in regards to the birth environment is that I want to have dim lighting, and also I want to have the door closed as much as possible. So I feel like for me it's very comfortable to be in an environment where it's pretty dark. Yeah, I can have a little bit of light, but I don't want a really bright room because I feel like I get distracted. So with my first birth plan, I did put the same thing, and that did happen. Excuse me. Whew. I burped. Anyway, I did feel very comfortable in a dim light environment, so I put that here. as well. Second thing I have for the birth environment, I want to have access and use of a birthing ball, peanut ball, and or a squatting bar. The third thing that I want in my birth environment is no residents. So I don't want any students during my labor and birth. I don't know, I just don't feel comfortable. I feel like the less people the better. So I am comfortable with the nurses and with my OB, but that's pretty much it. And last and not least, for the birth environment, well, I guess you can say it's kind of part of the environment in a way, but I put it under that category. But I put keep me covered when checking me. So I don't want them just to be like, whoop, okay, cervical check, I'm gonna open up your gown or whatever and just expose me. I want to make sure that they know that, hey, keep me covered. If you're gonna do a cervical check, make sure I'm like, you know, not exposed, or that my vajayjay's not, you know, out there. Take a water break. All right, so that's pretty much all for my birth environment. While I'm in labor and birth, these are the things that I want, or these are my preferences. I do want my bag of waters to break spontaneously, so I don't want them to break them. So with my first pregnancy or my first labor and birth, my waters actually broke on their own. I believe around 5 centimeters. Hopefully the same happens with this labor and birth, and I am knocking on wood that my waters don't break any time before, you know, I'm in actual labor. Another thing that I added under labor and birth is I want to limit vaginal exam as much as possible. So vaginal exam, cervical exam, cervix checks, whatever you want to call it, you know, they're looking down there to see if you're dilated, if you're phased, you know, just to see how your labor is progressing. So I just want to limit that as much as possible. I feel like with my first, I didn't have that many actually. I think like this time around, I would want a lot less cervical checks while I'm in labor. I'm thinking like once I go into the hospital and I'm in triage, I want to know how much I'm dilated, because I'm also curious and I want to consent to that. And then after that, I don't think I would want another one until maybe I'm like close to transition where I'm really feeling like, oh my goodness, these contractions, I cannot breathe through them. This time around, I've been breathing and practicing all of that. Anyway, once I get to the point where it feels, you know, very, very intense like that, then I probably will ask for another cervical check. So maybe like 3 cervical checks tops, but we shall see, because, you know, this are my preferences now, but I could change my mind. Maybe I would want less or maybe a little bit more, so we shall see. I also have unlimited freedom to move, so I do want to be able to walk around, go to the bathroom, you know, change positions, bounce on the birth ball. So with my first labor and birth, that did happen, and I want to make sure that it happens as well with this second birth. Another thing, I do want to eat light snacks, so maybe like a banana, granola bar, protein bar, and also drink clear fluids like water. I want to make sure I am hydrated. With my first, I was so thirsty and I wanted to drink water, and all they provided was ice chip. And honestly, if they do tell me like, hey, you cannot eat when you're in active labor, you cannot drink water, you can only eat ice chips, like, I don't care. I am going to sneak in water. I'm gonna have my husband give me water when the nurses are not looking, because I did my research, and you could do your own research. This is my preferences. I'm gonna drink water if I feel thirsty, because with my first, it was 34 hours long. If I'm thirsty, I'm gonna drink this time around, because I suffered too much feeling thirsty with my first labor. So that's not gonna happen this time. I mentioned before, I am GBS positive. I do prefer to get the antibiotics for the GBS, so baby has less chances of getting GBS when she's born. I do have to have the IV for the antibiotics. So in order for me to move around, I don't want to move around with that pull everywhere, so I'm gonna tell them to put a saline lock on my IV, so that way they can put the antibiotics. Then once those are done, I think it takes like 15 to 30 minutes for them to, you know, go inside my body, and then after that they can remove that pull out of me or whatever. And if, you know, they need to put the antibiotics again, they could do that, because I will have the lock or the saline lock. I don't know if that made sense or not, but I did do a lot of research on the saline locks and things like that, so I will try to put it on my description, all the sources I used to put my birth preferences together. Another big thing I want is wireless electronic fetal monitoring. Oh my goodness, I cannot say that word. EFM. So I want to make sure that I have, you know, whatever they strap right here on your stomach, on your belly. I think they put one for contractions, they put another one for baby. I'm gonna make sure that one is wireless, so that way I'm also very mobile. I know they have the ones that are wired, and those you have less mobility to walk around. Yeah, with my first, I did have that wireless EFM, which was very helpful because I was able to actually walk outside of my labor room and really get, you know, a good walk around through the hospital instead of just in the room making circles. Also, one of the biggest things that I don't want is the epidural. So with my first labor and birth, I also didn't want the epidural, but I actually honestly did not expect it to be so long. It was 34 hours long in total. At 31 hours into my labor, I gave in and I got the epidural. I think it was due to exhaustion, to being tired and fatigued, that I, you know, asked for it because I just couldn't keep up with the pain. I was just all over the place with my breathing as well. I really feel like if I would have prepared more for the exhaustion part of it, I would have not asked for the epidural. But anyway, so I do want to tell them to not ask me, because that's one of the things that was pretty annoying with my first labor, was that they kept asking me if I wanted the epidural. Like literally, like I feel like every hour or something. Like even the anesthesiologist came into the room and he's like, hey, hi, I'm the anesthesiologist. If you want the epidural, I'm here 24/7, blah, blah, blah. So, well, he's not there 24/7, but there's always an anesthesiologist there 24/7. So this time around, I'm kindly gonna say, please do not ask me, because it's listed on my birth preferences, and do not persuade me or anything like that. Next one, I have, oh, wait to push until I feel the urge, even if I'm fully dilated, or until baby descends. So one thing is, I really want to be able to push whenever I feel the need to push, but I am aware, I've done, you know, research that sometimes people feel the urge to push, but they're not fully dilated down there. So, you know, if I am fully dilated and I have the urge to push, I want to make sure I push like naturally or physiologically. But if for whatever reason I do get the epidural, then I do want them to coach my pushing, because with the epidural is very different. With my first, I literally didn't feel anything, and it was nice for them to guide me, because, you know, I was able to kind of push with every contraction, which I did not feel in the moment because I was under the epidural. Another thing I have listed here in regards to positions is, I did list 2 specific positions that I would like to try while I'm pushing baby. So I did put, I would like to try the side lying position, so just, you know, lying on one side and, you know, kind of lifting my leg maybe and pushing. Also semi sitting, kind of like in a throne position, kind of like how I'm sitting right now. And I want to make sure that that's there, so that way maybe in the moment I might forget, maybe if my husband sees it, because he will have a copy of my birth plan during our labor, so hopefully he catches that. If I forget for whatever reason, he can be like, hey, you want to try this, whatever. So yeah, I have that. With my first, again, I got the epidural, so they just pretty much just give you like 1 or 2 positions that you can do, or at least in my hospital. Now if I do go without the epidural, I don't know how I'm gonna feel in that moment. I might want to push, I don't even know, I might even want to push on hands and knees or squatting, or who knows. Whatever I feel in that moment, I'm going to do. I'm gonna try to do it. Also put here that I do want to push for as long as I can before considering interventions for slow progress. I want to make sure I am pushing, you know, as much as I can, as much as my body can take, before they're like, hey, like, you know, it's taking too long, we're gonna do an episiotomy or whatever it is, you know. I want to make sure like I did my best and I tried, you know, as much as I could before they offer those types of interventions. All right, so I think that's pretty much what I want during my labor and birth. Now I'm gonna go over what I want after birth. So one big thing is, I want to make sure that they use local anesthesia for any repairs, or, you know, for stitching down there. If I tear, hopefully I do not tear, because with my first, actually did not tear, but they did do an episiotomy. Hopefully this time around I don't have to get an episiotomy, and I do not want one unless it's medically necessary and discussed with me. But if it does, I want to make sure they use lidocaine or whatever anesthetic thing they put down there, so I don't feel it. Second thing, I do want delayed cord clamping. So I stated that here. Also want my husband to cut the cord, and he also wants to cut the cord. He did it with our first. He's gonna do it this time around too. And I also want immediate skin to skin contact right after baby is born for at least an hour or two, uninterrupted time with my baby. So I don't want them weighing her. Sorry, I don't want them weighing her or doing any type of newborn procedures until after, you know, that golden hour is done at least. So that's pretty much what I want after birth. I do have my newborn procedures listed here. I'm gonna go over it too much in detail. I'm gonna try to go over some things, but I do want to keep some of the things private. I don't want to discuss all this medical stuff because I just want to conserve that privacy for my baby. But one thing I do want to say is I am going to make sure that baby is in the room at all times. So I did put that. Any newborn procedures that they do on my baby, anything like that, I want to make sure they do it while I'm in the room present with my baby. I don't want them taking my baby to another room, to the nursery, whatever it is, unless obviously it's an emergency and they have to take my baby to the NICU. But God forbid, because with my first, it was a whole situation. But my first had to go to the NICU. This time around, if my baby doesn't have to go to the NICU, then I want my baby with me at all times. No taking my baby away. And again, if my baby has to go to the NICU for whatever reason, my husband and myself will be going with our baby. And that's pretty much it for newborn procedures. I did list other things here. I'm not gonna go over it again because I just want to keep that private. The last thing I have listed here, which again, God forbid that happens, but in case of an emergency C-section, I do want my husband obviously to be there in the operating room. I've heard from other people where their operating room, for whatever reason, is too relaxed, too casual, to the point where the doctor and the nurses are having a whole conversation while they're having, you know, literally doing surgery on you. And I don't want that to happen. So I did list here that I do want a quiet environment in the operating room. Like if they want to talk to me, okay, you can talk to me. But besides that, I don't want to know what you're having for lunch because, you know, I am trying to focus on my baby, even though technically it's a surgery and I don't have to do anything but just lay there. But I just don't want to be thinking or hearing that type of conversation while I'm getting surgery. And something else I did put here is I want to be as aware as I can be. So I want them to discuss types of anesthesia that they are going to do. I know general anesthesia, it's pretty rare. For the most part, you're awake in a C-section. So hopefully I get to choose the option. But again, hopefully I don't have to get a C-section at all. God forbid. After the C-section is done or the procedure, I want to make sure my baby is placed on my chest for skin to skin as soon as possible. If for whatever reason baby can go on my skin, I did state here that I would want baby to have skin to skin with my husband. And also during recovery, if I have a C-section, I want to make sure that baby does stay with me. If this isn't an option, I do prefer my husband to stay with the baby in the nursery until I am out of recovery. So I'm out of breath already. But that's pretty much my birth plan. I try to kind of go over in depth every little thing that I put in here. I know I might have not shared too much on the newborn procedure, but besides that, this is pretty much my birth plan. Pretty simple. I did keep it one page. And again, I did use the birth plan template from Lizzie. I'm going to put it in my description below so you can go ahead and take a look. But yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much it, and I am super happy that I am getting so close to my due date. I'm 9 months. I have like 3 to 4 weeks left. If baby arrives, you know, before or around her due date, I really want to meet her, and it's getting really uncomfortable to sleep. So hopefully it is a little bit sooner than her due date, but we shall see. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I super appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope you have a great day or great night whenever you're watching this. And remember, no hay mal que por bien no venga, which pretty much means find the silver lining in every situation, especially the bad ones, the negative ones. Whatever it is, make sure you're always thinking positive and be grateful for everything you have, because I bet you have more things to be grateful for than to not be. So yeah, I will see you on the next video.